Legs are required for jumping and dancing, strolling along down those, what's that word, Michael Harlow? Street.
Hey everybody, welcome to MIKEroaggress'd Tuesday with two of my favorite people, our returning champion, ladies and gentlemen, Peter Feliciano.
Hi everybody, mwah, 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 mwah.
And making his debut on the channel, I'm so excited, I can't believe this is the first time you've been on here, Adam Coleman.
What's going on? I just realized you don't know my middle name.
No, do you have a middle name?
That's what Adam B. Coleman. The B actually stands for Beresford.
Beresford.
Yeah.
Are you from England?
My father's Trinidadian.
Okay.
So there's a whole English thing going on down there.
That's like how the Haitians have the French influence.
Yep.
That sounds like the kind of name that like the kid is the slave owner who forces on the child. That like they were doing it with one of the women they weren't supposed to. So okay, this is little Beresford.
Your name is Beresford. Your name is Beresford. That's what
hey to all our beautiful friends in the chat, Giorgio Quattrocento, Cody, our beloved Chris, Caleb, Max Zed, everyone, we're so glad you're here. Love you. We've got the super chats. We've got so much shit to talk about. Oh my god, we got so much shit to talk about. Send us all of your super chats. Hey Brentley, hey DDLF. Yes, send us your super chats. Check out all our stuff below. Their stuff, their channels. As always, casual reminder, I am escaping New York and getting out of here, going to Florida. So check out my little Give, Send, Go. My documentary is going to be coming out later this month, episode 1. So if you feel so inclined to contribute to my Leaving New York fund, it is right there. Click in the description. Gentlemen, how are you this evening?
You go first, Adam.
I'll go first. I'm doing all right. It's been busy.
I have also been busy. I went to the gun range today.
You went to the gun? Was that your first time?
No, it was not my first time. It was my second. How dare you? Yes, no, it was a great time. I got to try out 9mm 509. Just to let everybody see, I brought this. I don't know if you can see it. See, the question is,
you did good.
The question is, do you need training? And yes, I do. But then no, I don't. Got the motherfucker right in the heart.
What's up, Daniel?
Oh, you did a good job.
Thank you, dear.
So, first of all, I should ask, first of all, for those who don't know, but you probably know, Adam is the author of Black Victim to Black Victor. You guys should go get it. It is amazing.
Yeah, it's a great one.
Thank you.
So, and Pete, tell us what you've been up to.
Let's see. Besides the gun range,
left me here.
I did. I said peace. Actually, also I went and visited with Adam once too. But I moved to Austin back in July, and I've been having a great time. I not only have I bought bullets for the first time and went to the gun range for the second time. I also performed last night for the first time, and I have my first ever original gig in 3 years pre-pandemic, and it's coming up in Austin January 14th at Swan Dive, so keep an eye on that, and you all should fly from New York, from Florida, to come give me money. If you can't make that, you can find me on Patreon, and after you give to Michael's thing as well, and buy the book, and but yeah, that's what I've been up to. I'm actually on Conservat-ish. Next week I have Chrissy Mayer, actually.
Nice. I was just in Florida with her.
I actually, she was at the comedy club up in Jersey, Stress Factory. So I went by to support her.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
awesome. So are you far from from New York?
I'm like in central Jersey, so driving wise, like I can be in Staten Island in like 20 minutes or so.
So
Was
you're
it
far
30,
enough
35
away.
minutes? Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah.
So Pete, you're happy you moved so far?
Yeah, actually, leaving the gun range today, it was weird. Leaving the gun range today, I felt for the first time like, so since moving, I have people like, how do you like Austin? I have to kind of conjure up what I think and then throw in a couple of anecdotes and this and that and the price, talk about the differences in the price and the openness of the city versus New York City. And after leaving the gun range today and just listening to some music and driving around, I actually it just came up. It just all of a sudden I realized, oh, this is the shit. Like this is my home. Like this is, without asking, without trying to conjure it up, it just came up naturally, organically. I really like Austin. I like the idea that that I can go shoot stuff. I made a tweet about it when I was buying bullets the other day. The Mexican lady who was ringing me up was chatty and sweet, even though I was buying an instrument of death. It was chill. It was chill. It was accepting. It was good. And that's the reason why I wanted to tweet that out, not just to rub it on people's faces, but also because too often in the culture of the New York City, San Francisco liberal, the people that I come from, it's so, not only do you not have access to guns being in your life, guns being in your culture, you also, the bubble that we're told is that anyone who's pro-gun is white and is MAGA and is Trump and, everybody cover your ears, fucks their cousin. Okay. So that's the stereotype that we get fed. And I'm looking around at the gun range today. There was some European tourists. There was an Asian cat. Last time I went to the gun range, there was a couple of black dudes and a Indian. There were a couple of Indians there too. Like this is a lot more wide than that bubble would have them believe,
That's very true.
By the way, parentheses, I just want to say hi to our beloved Leah.
Hi, baby.
Hope you're having a good night. I want to hear all about what movies you're watching afterwards. Yeah, so so people say Austin is like very leftist. Like, have you experienced that yet?
A little bit. Comparatively though, right. No. I was talking about it with actually both of you at different times, but Texans think it's a leftist city, but this is like a breath of fresh. This is libertarian central is really what it is. You know what I mean? Because it feels like, yeah, there's a couple pockets on Congress Avenue. People are like, but I just like doing an impression of those dum-dums. But for the most part, and they're lovely people and blah blah blah. For the most part, it's actually quite, what the phrase I keep going to is like, sure, you can find a ton of hipster liberals, but you throw a rock in any direction, you hit a good old boy. You know what I mean? You throw a rock in any direction. They literally have to put up signs on businesses in Texas that say, this one's not, you can't bring your gun in here. Like that's such a weird cultural mind fuck to me, where it was like, oh, okay. And you don't see that very often, even in blue Austin.
And what about you, Adam? Are you originally from Jersey?
It's kind of a hard question to answer because I've lived in 5 states, but I've lived in Jersey the longest. So I just tell people I'm from Jersey, but I was born in Detroit.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
How was that?
I left when I was 5, and my memories aren't that great. So I'm glad we left.
I hear like it was kind of like the original New York and San Francisco.
No, it was just it's interesting because Detroit hasn't really changed from what I hear. Granted, I haven't been back there in a long time, but just from a distance and talking to people, Detroit hasn't really changed all that much. Still kind of poor, still things failing, and I'm glad I didn't have to grow up in that. I'm glad we left.
I think that's kind of the main point with Democrats, that they have had control of these places, these cities, for decade after decade. Nothing ever changes. Things always get worse, and yet their solution is to just continue voting for them, just keep them in power, keep the status quo, so nothing continues to change, and they can just keep running on it every 4 years.
Yeah, but it's a place like Detroit. It's beyond the political party. Like when you're outside of it, it just seems like, oh, well, it's a Democrat-run city. But when you're inside of it, it's different. Like there's a racial dynamic to it because it is a majority Black city. Everybody who's in power is Black. So there are racial politics that kind of come into play. But also there's just a ton of corruption. It doesn't really matter who's in power. They have a Democrat title next to their name. It's just a ton of corruption that's going on within politics and surrounding politics, or just in the Board of Ed. The Board of Ed is probably still the #1 employer of the city of Detroit.
What?
That's terrifying. Do you think there's any way back from all of this? Because in general, I kind of don't know about that.
Is there any way back? You know, when you have something that's so corrupt, that means that basically you would need a ton of changes, to be honest with you. There's a really good documentary piece. It's some years old now. I think it was like Dan Rather did it for like 60 Minutes, but it was very interesting, very eye-opening to what was going on. At that time, it was like something, I'm going to butcher the numbers, but it was something like in 8 years, they had 6 superintendents, right, within the Board of Ed. They were focusing on the Board of Ed because the Board of Ed is such a beast within that city. Like I said, they were the #1 employer. And on top of that, not just employer of people who work directly with the Board of Ed, but all the contractors, all the people who are siphoning money off of the Board of Ed, because there aren't that many economic opportunities, and the Board of Ed basically became like this piggy bank for the city.
Right.
And yeah,
go ahead. Yeah.
No, I was going to say this kind of goes also into this idea that failing poor cities don't have any money. I mean, Detroit educationally is failing and poor, and they have tons of money. The problem is that they're highly corrupt. Where does that money actually go? Per pupil, they get way more in the city of Detroit than the rest of Michigan.
And that's
they got money. It's going right in their pockets.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And that's why I always go to that idea that bureaucracy's job is to create more bureaucracy. You know what I mean? I don't think in many ways, I mean, that's really what, I mean, we like to throw around just for generalization's sake, because it's the right thing to do when you're talking about these types of things. But whether it's a D or an R really doesn't matter. What really matters is that Trump, in a way, whether it was right or wrong, whether you agree with him or don't, blah, 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 was a wrench in the system. That was you can't bureaucracy your way out of bureaucracy. You can't, you can't, I'm going to change the system, because as soon as I'm going to change the system, someone gives you, here's a check, here's another check, here's free food at this, here's all the perks, here's a wife, and you just go,
here's a wife,
you just slink, yeah, Asian prostitutes, whatever it is. And you just slink back into corruption because it's much more comfortable. You can't really wrestle where that's what Trump was just fuck y'all. That's what it was. It's just throw a wrench. Let's stop this whole train,
And I want to ask about him in one sec, but let me just hit up our super chat from our channel mascot, Giorgio Quattrocento. Did you see the video of the lady roasting rats on the spit roast on the New York City sidewalk?
Yeah.
I saw that, and I've never clicked away from something so fast. I have such a phobia of that. But that's literally what it's turned into now, though.
But it's just a different culture, Mike. It's just a different
yeah.
There's culture. You're not allowed to. That's why I was offended when Adam said that the school board was corrupt, because Black people can't do anything wrong. They have black skin. They can't be questioned. And if you know what, I blame white people. White people made that Peruvian lady put rats on the fire. That's what it's her internalized white supremacy.
Well, now the city is appointing a rat czar that they're going to pay millions of dollars to do who knows what. Nothing, I'm sure.
Right. No, I know who the rat czar is going to be. His name's Splinter.
Hey, goddamn right, man.
Anyway, send us all of your super chats. Send us your burning questions. Hey, Esteban. Hey, Chris. So wait, since you guys brought up Trump, I feel like from what I've seen you guys tweet, I think we're kind of on the same page about this, but what are your thoughts about him running again?
I'll let Peter go first.
Okay. So for a hot minute, pre-election nonsense recently, pre-DeSantis drama, pre-whatever, I was just annoyed with this motherfucker. And I've talked to both of you about this. And I was mostly annoyed because I don't want the drama of the baggage this person has. I think, especially in 2020, they did a real good job at best. They did a real good job playing him when it came to how he would navigate the COVID stuff. Okay. When it came to him, being so pro-vaccine, no offense to anybody. Actually, fuck y'all, offense.
Thanks, you're on this channel you're on.
But you know, I feel like he did not handle it. Not that any one of us would have been able to. I don't know what they dangled in his face. I don't know what they threatened him with, and or it doesn't even mean that he's necessarily compromised. This is a lot of this is cup game. A lot of this is the cup game on the sidewalk in New York City. Which one's the ball under? And you have 3 cups and you just move around. Which one is it? So he may have just been overwhelmed with the insanity and the bull stuff. Why did I say that? With the bullshit. And so as it came through, and as I'm approaching this, I've been annoyed with him and just being like, yeah, pro DeSantis. Here's the thing. I started noticing I had a conversation with James R., who I know, Mike, you've met. Adam, I don't know if you've met him yet. Really thorough thinker. He's definitely a filth bucket like me. But like when I come on his show, Pirate Radio, I talk about, I'm the cultural attaché. So I talk about race, I talk about humanity, I talk about the gut, I talk about spirituality, I talk about the culture. He's much more of the lawyer, this, that, just very, very smart when it comes to that stuff. And he started talking about the PSYOP pre-election and why he just brought up some simple stuff. Why was CNN, who we all know is untrustworthy, pushing DeSantis? Why is that happening? Now, does that mean that, just in this example, does that mean DeSantis is a rhino and corrupt? No. Hang on. If the machine, the CNN, Democrat, politics, rhino, all the lizards, as I like to call them, but I don't actually think you can unzip their heads. If they are suddenly pushing something, what does that mean? If they really believed that DeSantis was somebody that they could get behind, they wouldn't be doing all the crap they're doing. Now, does that mean that means just completely embrace Trump? Not necessarily. But it does make me go, and not just, literally they put out a puff piece day after election, day of election, around Ron DeSantis' wife. What? Oh, and she grew up in Virginia, and then she did this, and then now this is her talking about how strong her husband is. CNN would never do that shit ever about anyone why are they doing that? Why? It just makes me go, right? And it makes me sit back from that. Another thing that makes me go, and sit back is when he was talking about possibly, like, especially the PSYOP around the election and how, and I've seen both you in other ways and me as well, got discouraged around this movement, especially around the red wave. Where was the red wave? What the fuck was the red wave? Me and Brent and Dan talked about it on their show a little while ago, or last week. I hate to do it, but I'm going to say it. PSYOP, did you notice about a week before the election, CNN, MSNBC, right, the machine, were suddenly starting to have these talking points. It's going to be decimation. It's going to be a huge red wave. It's going to be, oh my God, the Democrats are going to eat shit. And then all of a sudden, day of, it was a win and I'll get to that in a second. It was a win in an incredible amount of ways. But it wasn't decimation. It wasn't a atom bomb of red, right? And that way they could go, oh, it wasn't that bad. I guess Democrats are more popular. I guess, And then you know why? Do you know why the red wave didn't happen? It's because of Trump, guys. It's because of Trump. Well, guess what? If you wanna make your party win, I guess you gotta vote for the. So again, it makes me go, It makes me sit back and understand. I don't want to play the whole like I'm not one of these patriot, 4D chess. Jerk off with that shit. I'm saying it makes me go and makes me second guess as well as other things, but I'll just stick with that for now. It makes me second guess the not the vitriol, not the fact that I disagree with him around the mandates, but it makes me second guess chucking him in the trash.
Okay, before I tell you everything you're wrong about, Adam.
All right. So one thing I'll say is I think Peter gives the media too much credit for thinking that they're looking around the corner for every narrative that they give. I think much to most people in politics, the more I look at it and the more I kind of listen to what people say, and this is bipartisan. I think most people within politics are reactionaries. They react to what's going on. For the most part, when the media says something is going to happen, it's because they believe that something's going to happen, or at least they're trying to drive a particular narrative at that particular moment. If there was a red wave, then they would have spun it into a different narrative to feed off of that. I'm just not so sure, especially looking at how intelligent the people that are the propagandists within the media are. I'm not sure if they're that clever to like, we're going to say this, and then if it doesn't happen, then we'll say this. They'll set up everything. Like, I don't really see them. Is it possible? Absolutely. But I don't really see that. But outside of that, I think Trump, I've been saying I didn't think Trump should have decided to run. Much of it is because I think he gave a lot of fuel to the left. We know that Biden didn't campaign. He sat in his basement. And yet Trump lost. Now, people are like, oh, the election. But either way, the way I see it is like, it shouldn't have even been close. How do you lose to somebody who's decrepit, doesn't campaign? Even if there was cheating, let's just say, even if that was the case, I don't even think it should have been close. And I think that is something to worry about moving forward, especially because when I see outside of the media, just listen to people who voted for him 2 times, they're fatigued by him, right? So when you have people who actively supported him for multiple elections, who are tired of him, who are seeing that as he's gotten older, that basically he's like, I say like Donald Trump has turned into the Rolling Stones. When he comes into town, he plays the classics. He's like, what are we going to do, everybody? We're going to lock her up, aren't we? Yeah. He's just playing the classics. In reality, he has no real new ideas. It's the same stuff that he says he's going to do. And the difference between now and 2016 is that like we've seen him in office. We've seen what he's done. And what did he actually do that he said he was going to do, and what didn't he do? And in many ways, you can easily criticize him. He said he was going to get rid of the swamp. What did he end up doing? Hiring a bunch of those people in the swamp. But he did some good things, obviously. So like he's like any other politician, right? He makes big promises. He keeps some of them. He doesn't keep others. But there's this idea that from some people, he's like, he's not a politician. He was the president for 4 years. Like, you can't use that line anymore. So there is no mysteriousness about Trump anymore. There is no mystique of the outsider, the unknown. He's been in politics, six or so years now. 4 years as president, and then a couple of years outside of that being kingmaker and deciding who people are running. But should he run as the president of the United States? I believe not, because he gives fuel to the left. He doesn't have any real new ideas that I've been hearing. He now has a record that we can criticize. And I think he's his own worst enemy because he does talk too much. And now this isn't like, oh, well, he says mean tweets. But in politics, you can talk too much. The more you talk, the more vulnerable you are, right? And this is where Ron DeSantis comes into play. For me, Ron doesn't talk too much. Ron lets other people speak for him. And when he does speak, he's very purposeful what he does say. And as much as people don't think it should matter, narratives matter. And sometimes by you not caring about what you say, you create another narrative. Like right now, what's going on is people are saying that Donald Trump wants to suspend the Constitution. Now, I didn't hear the direct quote from Trump, but I'm willing to bet he didn't say that. He said something surrounding that, but Donald Trump is terrible at communicating. Like when it comes to something thorough that is nuanced, he's terrible at communicating. And so what does he do? He creates this narrative. Keith Olbermann thinks that he wants to destroy the Constitution. You know, he creates his own chaos because he's not a good communicator and he talks too damn much, right? So I think on top of like, there are other qualities that I think if Ron DeSantis was to run, and we don't know if he is, I think he should, but we don't know. I think he is a better option. I think he is Trump-esque without the Trump baggage. The way he's handled the attacks from the media, I think has been great. The way he's used the culture war to enact policies that actually do benefit people, you know, I think that's a great thing to do. And I think he's popular in Florida for a reason.
Oh my God, where to begin? I feel like so first of all, I do think the media constructs their narratives and are very manipulative, but I completely disagree that they're building DeSantis up. They call him Death Santis. They've blamed everything on him. So I think if you see the occasional nice thing about him, it's because they want to pit Republicans against each other. They want to pit Trump fans against DeSantis fans and just cause the entire party to melt down. I think Trump, you know, I think he was a great president up until 2019. And then it just all fell apart. He was elected to sort of stop the leftist takeover of America, and the communist revolution happened on his watch. And so for me, that's not something I can really get past. Also, these sort of zombie narratives that have stuck to Trump, he mocked the disabled reporter, he called Nazis good people. I feel like I'm going to be in an old age home in diapers still having to debunk those. But why is that? It's because he did not do that effectively. He never effectively shut that shit down. I'll give you an example with DeSantis. I think it was 60 Minutes that came out with this big hit piece on him, blaming him for people's deaths and all this corruption. With one press conference, he had a stack of documents this thick. He shut that shit down so fast you never heard another word about it. So I think it really comes down to effectiveness. These people who say, oh, DeSantis is, you know, a compromise of some sort. I feel like basically if he runs, I feel like this is going to be an election of words versus actions. And at this point, Trump is words and DeSantis is actions, I think. Because just in that 1 week after the midterms, DeSantis went after the World Economic Forum. He went after the CCP. He called them all. I mean, that is not symbolic of someone who's in with these people. And I guarantee you that if they both run, you'll see the media pushing Trump, because there's a reason that every Democrat was running on Trump, because they know that if he runs, every minute of every day is going to be January 6th, every day will be January 6th for the next 2 years of our lives. And my blood pressure can't take it. I can't take 2 more years of this shit. And even his announcement, like when he said we're going to give the death penalty to drug dealers, that just felt like this half-hearted attempt at recreating, oh, they're bringing guns, they're bringing drugs. It just felt like so half-hearted, and he sort of like, he was swallowing his words as he was saying it. Like he was just trying to say anything because it worked for him the first time. And when it comes to the election, put aside even the cheating, put aside direct cheating. I think the crux of the issue is that it was stolen legally. They were allowed to do this. If you look at the Time magazine piece about fortifying the election and the cabal, this was allowed to happen because they were outplayed every step of the way. And that's not going to change. The time to fight for the election integrity was 6 months before the election when they were changing all the election laws. They didn't do that. So, I mean, you cannot agree to compete in a rigged game and then complain about the outcome. And I feel like that's basically what happened. And now, I mean, it put us in such a hole that I don't know how we even climb out of it.
Right.
I mean, Republicans, they either need to find a way to do away with all of these laws that got changed, and I don't think that's going to happen, or they need to just figure out a way to compete and beat them at their own game. And that's another thing, too. This election is going to be about the person who can best maneuver those things, who can master ballot harvesting and stuff like that.
Scott
ain't
Pressler.
Trump. Yeah.
By the way, Scott Pressler, shout out to him.
Seriously.
Let me address a few things. First things first, I love and respect both of you. And I know that both of you love and respect me. I think it's fucking awesome that we can disagree on things and yet still have love and respect in our hearts for each other's. So that's number one. It doesn't have to be patriot. So that's number
You're
one.
a rhino. You're controlled opposition.
Yeah.
Now,
Peter's balls are controlled opposition.
that's absolutely right. Come check them out, ladies. Now, in what I was saying earlier, and in my step back culturally, because my mind is all, I mean, that's why I have, friends like I think both of you have a very good connection with that. I think James R. does too, of Pirate Radio. But my gut, when I say things like, defending this idea or bringing up these other ideas and why they're pushing him, but pushing DeSantis, that does not equate to 100% Trump. Just like me, and we haven't got there, but we'll get there. Just like me defending Kanye doesn't mean I want that dum-dum to be fucking president. Relax, everybody. Things are complicated, right? So that's just number one. I'm not saying if I criticize DeSantis or criticize or say, hey, but what the fuck? That doesn't mean 100% signing off. Now, because my fight again is cultural. I really genuinely believe politics is downstream from culture, like Breitbart said, and I know we are winning the culture war. As I've said, fucking from last year, a year ago, I said no one is turning woke, or maybe I said this in August of this year. I don't know. No one is turning woke now. That's not happening. Okay, it's only happening the other direction. Austin is a perfect example of that. So anyway, when it comes to why, okay, so I'll step back from the idea of wanting, listen, I was on that same idea as the both of you. I also was like, fucking Trump, would you shut the fuck up, right? but I'll add this nuance. Even the nicer version, or the more concise version, or the less emotionally mature, or the more emotionally mature version, i.e. DeSantis, is still a Nazi in their eyes.
Oh, of course.
Right?
Yeah.
So if the fight, the grand fight, looks like a cultural battle of how we're going to not be fatigued, I'm sorry, I don't think that the lack of fatigue is going to happen no matter what direction we go. Because insane people who are immature are going to do insane, immature shit. They're going to believe insane, immature shit. Nobody's above that necessarily, but one side, the left, is a lot more fucking immature and insane right now. Shaking them out of that is a long, hard game. I just, I was in a relationship a few months ago. I won't necessarily, talk shit, but I'll just say I learned on a deeper level, having nothing really to do with politics. I learned on a deeper level, I can't change people, right? At a certain point, I have to unplug and allow somebody the space to be fucking insane, immature, whatever, I respect someone's journey, right? So on a gut culture only level, fuck all the other stuff, on a gut culture only level, if we're expecting light at the end of the tunnel comes in DeSantis, I'm sorry, I don't think that that's going to happen, because the insane people are going to stay insane. Again, we're siphoning people off, right? We're getting people in the middle, but I don't, in my experience in fucking blue ass Austin, right? I don't see a lot of people just sitting in the middle. Okay. It's not like they're going, man, I want to vote Republican, but I hate Trump. There's definitely some. But I was just talking with somebody else. I went to the lady I went to the gun range with. She's like, oh yeah, I have another friend who just moved here from New York and is all in buying guns. And like this is culturally, it's already happening, guys. I think the slide is already happening. So I just want to point out that. What are your thoughts on that?
So,
well, I was just gonna say one thing. I think what you said about nobody is becoming woke, that's what I feel about Trump. Nobody new at this point is going to support Trump. So for me, I completely agree that everyone is a Nazi to them and they will go after DeSantis 10 times as hard. But for me, the main point of it is effectiveness. It's who can be effective, who can win. And I think there's no comparison between the two. Sorry, Adam.
No, it's okay. I was going to say that I don't necessarily disagree with what Peter is saying. I think every national election comes down to certain states. So we may have our experiences, you're down there in Austin, you see certain things, you have your feel. I'm in Jersey, I have my feel. But ultimately, like Texas isn't a swing state. New Jersey is not really a swing state. The states that really do matter are the battleground states like Florida, Wisconsin,
Ohio,
Pennsylvania, Ohio. Yeah. So in those particular states, we'll have more of an accurate reading as far as how things are going to go there. And from my perspective, it does matter actually what the people in the middle are going to go towards. When I was a Democrat, I used to hear people talk about like Democrats should stop fighting with each other. They're just like all worried that somehow this is going to turn off people and they're not going to show up. In the end, they got their candidate and they voted for a corpse, Joe Biden, and they just moved forward. Why? Because that's the base. The base is Democrats and just going to keep doing it. Even if they're progressives, right, who just hated the establishment, but you know what? I'm voting for Joe Biden because he's better than Trump, right? They're still going to do the Democrat thing. Same thing on the Republican side. They can say, I hate Trump or I hate DeSantis. In the end, whoever's the nominee, they're going to vote for, right? So those people are already basically taken care of. What matters are the people who are somewhat apolitical, who don't regularly vote, who aren't very passionate about politics. Those people, and I try to tell people all the time, and you guys know, like there are lots of people who just don't give a shit about politics. Mm-hmm. They just really don't. Uh-huh. Right. And so for them, when they do see the election seasons going on, that's why you always hear like the trope of like, I'd have a beer with this guy, mm-hmm. right? And it's because that's what you would do if you met somebody new in your life, right? You're just taking the limited information that you have of this person and kind of making some sort of judgment. And because you don't pay attention to politics, like they have no idea what the record is or any of that stuff. All they know is, do I like this person? Do they seem nice? Do they seem strong? Do they seem weak? Like they look at very basic things. And when it comes to Trump, I can see where Trump turns off people, right? Especially when you have a media apparatus. For the people who don't pay attention, they just turn on the TV box and it tells them what to think. And the media apparatus is saying, Trump said this, and they show a clip out of context and all this other nonsense. Trump creates more enemies these days than friends. He is more divisive than DeSantis, and people are more willing to give DeSantis a shot, or at least to see what he's about. So I think DeSantis, from just looking at like a hypothetical numbers base, as far as who does he actually appeal to, he appeals more to the apolitical people, the independents, more so than Trump does.
It's possible. I also want to say too that my pointing out that I still am pro-Trump, I think a lot of it has to do with, like, that's not to say that DeSantis is a rhino or that DeSantis is a bad for our culture. I think he's fucking phenomenal for our culture, and I think he's a great governor. What I'm talking about is because there was something else you just said. I completely spaced on what the fuck it was. What were you just talking about? You were talking about
the people in the middle.
The people in the middle. I don't know if we give Like this is again my fight too, because I'm the duality of man about all this shit. Yes, people are dumb, generalization, white liberals are the devil. I get it, right? I've been doing all that shit for a hot minute. But I also feel like we need to give the apolitical people a lot more credit in that. Number one, here's what. Their numbers are shrinking. Where am I pulling that from? CNN, Netflix, Amazon, all of these motherfuckers, these huge conglomerate, machine, liberal, whatever. None of them are prospering right now. Why do we think that is? So many people have hit my DMs. Even me talking about me taking a post. Part of the post is when I tweeted out defense of the vaccinated last week. Okay, I had a lot of people who are fully fucking vaccinated in my DMs, in my comments going, thank you. I feel less like a piece of shit. Again, we're making space for people who may disagree. Culture first, change culture first. I'm not saying that if DeSantis wins the primary, it's going to be the end of the fucking world, the end of MAGA. But I am saying, because it's always, like I said from the jump, it's always this movement has been bigger than one motherfucker. It always has and it always needs to be. Okay.
Yes.
And if DeSantis gets in and he doesn't do what the fuck we want, same shit, bro. Now, but the people who are apolitical, that number is shrinking and shrinking and shrinking. I'm sorry. It may be my, I don't think it's just my bubble, because I lived in fucking New York City. I was around liberal people who were vaccinated liberal people. And even they were like, yeah, I'm not pro mandate. Like, I don't know why you can't go to a restaurant with us. I don't know. Like, why is this fucking happening? And that's in fucking New York City, right? I'm not saying that the fucking NPCs won't have sway there, but I'm saying on a gut level, ground level, street level, shit's changing. And this is a long fight. And I'm not saying that means fuck DeSantis. I'm saying regardless, to think that our fight or the apolitical is as big now as it was in 2016 is not, that's not accurate. And I think it's changing by the fucking day. And I think the vaccine is one of the reasons why that's happening. I think a lot more people are doing their research. A lot more people are stepping back and going, wait a second, where am I getting lied to? I think Balenciaga is another culture shift. Hello, alarm bell going off, right? Things are happening and making people step back and go, what the fuck? And we can see it in the numbers of these companies.
I think one point I want to hit on that you mentioned that I think is really important. These people creep me out who are culty about any politician. It's been the Trump ones who were saying shit to me like, where's your loyalty to Trump? That is such a sick mentality. And that is the mentality on the Democrat side that has brought us to where we are. You should not have any loyalty to politicians. It should be the other way around. I like DeSantis now, but the moment that I think he's not the best person for the country, goodbye. That's how it should be, whether it's Trump, Hillary, Biden, DeSantis, whoever, doesn't matter. Politicians are supposed to be loyal to you, not the other way around. Hi, Granny. Hi, Seashell. Hi to all our beautiful new people. I want to hit some super chats. Send us all your super chats, by the way.
Yes.
The money will go to the very good cause of the Mike Getting to Florida Fund.
And Adam and I get 20% each.
Peter looks like Sam Brinton.
Wow.
He sounds,
out of makeup.
Who's Sam Brinton?
You know, the bald, non-binary that got arrested for being a thief.
I feel skinny now. Thank you very much.
Peter, we should do, someone in the chat said we should do a video, like you should play him and I'll play like one of the other non-binaries.
No, I've done enough drag in my life.
Yes, though, send us all your super chats. Yeah, I'm sick of talking about Trump. I'm just sick of Trump in general. Like,
hey,
let's talk about anything but Trump.
All right, let's get into the fucking topic that I wanted to talk about.
So Peter, you wanted to come on to talk about Kanye.
I thought he wanted to talk about Hitler.
What's the difference at this point?
All right,
let's go.
Now, culturally, what am I trying to say? Number one, as I stated earlier, and I'll say it again, because, okay, you know what? Even fucking further back, the fight that we are in culturally needs to mature if we're going to be effective. You're talking about effectiveness, Mike. My job, I feel, is not to be the Stephen fucking Crowder, okay, or the Ben Shapiro, or the Fox News, or the whatever the fuck, where it's like, okay, my base, I'm gonna say the same shit that you want me to fucking say. I'm gonna be milquetoast. I'm gonna fucking blah blah blah. So I want to help us handle hearing things that we disagree with. I want to help us mature. Micro, macro. I'm talking about individually. How's your fucking self-care? I don't give a fuck if you vote the same way as I do. When's the last time you prayed? When's the last time you meditated? Or lit incense, whatever you want to call it? When was the last time you called your fucking mother? Okay, took care of your relationship with your father if you can. I'm talking about individually stepping away from social media and getting stronger skin, getting thicker skin, right? I'm talking about understanding. And I can go into why, but I think we all kind of understand that for the most part. Now, when it comes to Kanye, my defense of what he said or what he is doing or saying is not 100% a blanket approval or agreement, nor does it mean that I want him to be president. To clarify, I fucking don't. I do think he's a little too goddamn insane to be the president of the United States. And even worse than that, and this is going to piss a few of you off, and I don't care, I think running the country based on, I mean, the biggest thing I've disagreed with him on is when he starts talking about Jesus. Okay. The biggest thing I've disagreed with him on is when he starts going rah. We need to run the country based on Christian principles. Sorry if your definition of Christian principles means getting side tit off of Instagram. I'm sorry, I'm not on board with that. I'm not saying I'm not on board. I'm Christian-ish, right? But I'm saying the biggest
that could be your spinoff, Christian-ish,
right? I'm saying the biggest thing I disagree with him on really is when it comes to that type of stuff. Now, are you guys understanding what I'm talking about so far?
Yes, but that's the biggest thing you disagree with.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now, couple of things. When it's coming to, because I do know and love a lot of Christians, and I have read the fucking book, okay, the Bible, and I do understand what he's talking about because there's a few different things he's talking about. Because you both watched it, right? The full thing.
Oh, I'm working on a video about it, so I've had to watch every friggin' interview he's ever given, and my brain is bleeding.
But here's the thing. He's not a good communicator, just like you guys are talking about Trump, right? He's not a good communicator. He's a fucking phenomenal artist. Well, his earlier stuff, in my personal opinion, but as far as I know, don't be racist, Mike. But as far as his communication, what did he mean when he said this one thing? Not the other stuff that you want to be mad about. The one thing when he's talking about I love Hitler. Love to a Christian perspective. Listen to what I'm fucking goddamn saying.
Okay.
Love to a Christian's perspective, to his type of Christian's perspective. What did he also say? He also said he loved Zionist Jews. He also said he did. He also said he loved the doctor who performed surgery that killed his fucking mother. So the word love there, in the context that he's talking about, is an umbrella shit, whether you agree with it or not. It's not a blank check for behavior. It's not agreement with what they did. He doesn't put love on one side of the scale and the Holocaust on the other, and we'll get to that in a second, Holocaust on the other, and say, oh, I love them, and that means a blank check for. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? I'm just trying to take the word love out and explain what he meant by that.
No.
You don't you don't agree?
No, I understand. I think he's a perfect communicator. I think he's communicated exactly what he means to. And I think that is the biggest bullshit in the world, that he has been on an entire media campaign now about spreading things that are. So that's the thing. For you, your main thing that you care about is like very spiritual and all that. For me, I feel like the thing that I'm driven by is truth. And I don't care about, we have such where, what are you rolling your eyes
you know at? I care about truth too.
No, I'm not saying you don't.
Oh, okay. All right.
I'm saying that's what your main what you consider your main purpose to be. That's what you hear something like this and focus on.
Okay.
What I hear something like this and focus on and goes, he's spreading things that just aren't based in truth. So what my point is I don't care about, we're in such a histrionic, emotional culture that every conversation has to be very dramatic and very emotional about love and hate. Does he love someone? I don't care about that. Love or hate whoever you want. The things that he's saying are just not based in truth. So he's been on an entire media campaign for a month now about fuck the Jews, and speaking in there's nothing that can sort of backpedal that you throw in at the end. Oh, but I love everyone. It's sort of like an abusive husband saying, I hit her because I love her.
Okay. Okay. The other stuff, what I was trying to just bring up is just the word love there and what that word, I'm not saying, because he also said, he said it multiple times. I made a supercut. It's on my Twitter. He also said he loved the Zionist Jews and the guy who killed his mother. Right. So just that word, not the Holocaust thing, not the other stuff, just that. What does that mean to him? Regardless of whether you agree, what does that mean to him? It means something different than what the zeitgeist wants it to mean.
That's sort of like his excuse that he's throwing in at the last second, though. After you can't spread, if you were to just assassinate someone's character, spread lies about them, make generalizations about them, and then go, oh, but I love them. Is that love that you would be willing to accept on an individual level? I wouldn't be. It reminds me of, I had this friend growing up who was abused. He lived with his grandparents and was abused by them. They would beat him up and stuff. And then I would be at his house and he would be told by his relatives, oh, they love you so much. And I always thought that was really sick. That's what this reminds me of. Abuse is not love.
Right.
Smearing someone's name isn't love. Spreading lies about these things that he's doing his actions do not speak love. So trying to throw that in at the last second, oh, but love everyone just like Jesus. No. And he basically, it's just the Black Israelites and Louis Farrakhan speaking through him. And do you think that they're based in love?
Right. But I'm saying he said it multiple times as far as his loving the Zionist Jews. So just the love part, just regardless of the other stuff.
Zionist Jews. He's saying
I'm saying what he said. I'm saying what he said. I'm saying just the word love. I'm on board with understanding what you mean, but I'm trying to separate those because I'm trying to understand the gut level fucking 5,000 foot view, regardless of what he said in a previous sentence, but just the soundbite getting spread everywhere is just I love Jews or I love Hitler, right? So what he's trying to, I think. Well, we'll get to why, but I'm saying because it's hard. Do you understand how fucking difficult this is on my end? Anyway, I don't want to be doing this. I get it, but I'm in it for the fight because I'm also coming from a place of understanding just that specifically, and we'll get to the other stuff in a second. But that specifically does not mean what the zeitgeist wants it to mean. That's what I'm saying. Are you understand what I mean?
It doesn't mean it to him either, though. It doesn't mean it to him either. It's sort of like it's the same thing as when, at least me, I think you agree with me, when Trump would, push the vaccine and stuff and then throw in at the last second, oh, but it's your choice. It's like, no, that's not standing up to it. Right.
But and then obviously Adam get in here, but he did not throw it in at the last second. He was on InfoWars, the place where you could say fucking anything, and he proved that. He's not soft shoeing. He's trying by saying love, right? He's not soft shoeing. He's, in my personal opinion, explaining he's being lazy. He's being a troll, right? Trying to, like he even said it himself on that fucking interview. He's ramming in and then let the other motherfuckers come in and explain what he's talking about. But the ram is usually not, i.e. Trump, even if we wanted to equate it to Trump versus DeSantis. Trump is the wrench. Fuck you. Okay. Fuck you to cancel culture. Fuck you to, I'm not going to be allowed to say what I want to say. Fuck you to deplatforming me from fucking banks. Right. So love means to him just in that. He could have said, right, he wouldn't soft shoe. He wouldn't soft shoe. I wish he fucking would have more. I wish he would have been explaining the way I'm fucking explaining it goddamn now. But to a Christian's fucking mind, and by the way, I don't think he's a great, whatever, but I'm saying to a Christian's fucking words out of the Bible, what that means, where he's coming from, gut-wise only. That's why he threw in Jews and the guy who killed his mother and the people who are fucking with him, Pasternak or whatever. He said love to all of those motherfuckers, not because he's soft shoeing, but because he's trying to explain what he actually means. Anyway, that's my personal.
All right.
Kanye loves the Jews like Coach A loves the Adam, why don't you get in before?
All right. So, Peter, after your pro-Hitler diatribe, no, Peter, actually, seriously, the reason why you're having trouble is because Kanye, you're trying to, you remember, what's that show, the Dog Whisperer? You're trying to Kanye whisper, right? And people are trying to Kanye whisper what he's actually trying to do when but when he said this word. And the problem is, more so like what Mikey said, he says a lot of shit. Mm-hmm. So when you focus on one thing, and I hear what you're saying, but when you focus on one thing to highlight that thing and ignore the rest,
I'm not ignoring the rest.
No, I'm not saying you're ignoring it. I'm just saying, like, this is outside of you guys, because I listen to conversations and read all types of stuff. So when people say, yeah, but he said he loved the Jews too and all this stuff, and I'm like, all right, what was the purpose of all this? Like, no one ever asked that question, because when he showed up at Alex Jones' show, Alex didn't say, so Kanye, tell me about the Jews. Kanye starts this conversation. He doesn't need to, but he wanted to. Why? What's the purpose? When he got canceled, he is the one who kept going with it. I made a tweet saying, like, imagine if, I'll just use Mikey. Imagine if Mikey, right, is some big celebrity and got accused of being a racist. So then he goes on a press tour with David Duke and says how the KKK wasn't that bad. Like, you'd be like, why would you even do that? None of that makes any sense. But I love them. Right?
So, go ahead.
You know, so none of that stuff makes any sense. Part of the problem is that no one, I'm actually writing, I'm working on an article for Human Events talking about this. Kanye's history is relatively consistent about a couple things. He doesn't understand boundaries.
Isn't
Taylor
that,
Swift,
by the way, to clarify, isn't that similar to what I said around not being a good communicator? When he said Bush doesn't like black people, when he said slavery was a choice, was that cool and calculated shit? Anyway, continue.
No. Yeah, it's just he says a lot of stuff, and I think it's also giving, not saying you guys, but I'm just saying in general, when people say, "Oh, he's crazy," no, that's giving him a pass. When he says stuff, take him for his word. He's actually saying these things. He is not articulate, but when he says stuff, he actually wants to say these things. The other thing that I don't think people realize is Kanye is all about acceptance. Like, the reason why he started to speak out more is because when he did put the MAGA hat on, he didn't like people's response to it. He didn't like that the Kardashians were saying you shouldn't do this. He didn't like that people were saying it's going to hurt your career. He was being a contrarian. He didn't like that he wasn't being accepted because of something as simple as putting on a hat, or just making a gesture like Trump seems kind of cool, right? There are millions of people who say that, right? So Kanye is someone who seeks acceptance, and when he doesn't get it, he lashes out, right? So when he's going through a divorce, when he's dealing with deals with people who he thinks that are scamming him or not giving him fair deals or trying to manipulate him, right? What does he do? He lashes out. Now, everybody knows that when you say certain things You cannot be surprised when people respond negatively to them, right? When you're a big famous guy, you're a billionaire at the time, and you say certain things, you cannot be surprised when people lash out of it. I am not in support of cancel culture, but you can't be surprised when Adidas pulls their deal, when all these other manufacturers pull their deals. Like, you cannot be surprised. And what happened from that moment? He started lashing out. And so now he's going full bore into this. He basically sounds like he discovered 4chan about 2 weeks ago, to be honest with you. He, like, you know why I say this, and I haven't heard anybody point this out when it came to his interview with Alex Jones. He admitted he did not know who the Prime Minister of Israel was until a couple weeks ago.
I just heard of him. Yep.
I just heard of him. What do you about this prop comedy stuff?
I thought it was just Zionists.
Right.
Okay.
Which I think that's interesting. I think, I think many people have at minimum suspected for a long time that when people say Zionists, they mean Jews. But I feel like this is basically confirmation, because Kanye has been very clear this whole time. I'll make a whole supercut of it. Jews, 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 Jews. And then when you respond to that, they go, "Oh no, we're just talking about Zionists, just Zionists. It's just Israel. We're just very concerned about foreign aid to Israel." What a crock of shit! Like,
Yeah,
look at all I'll say is, like, I made a post on Instagram of a tweet of mine, sort of pushing back on this. Look at the comments, is all I have to say, saying we need to slaughter that. Which the key points that I want to just disclaimer: every single one of us here is for everybody's free speech. We don't want anyone canceled. We don't want any banned, censored. I think I'm so thrilled that he's speaking about this, because he exposes himself better than any censorship ever could. Look why he stormed out of Tim Pool, because these claims that he makes about Jews just don't hold up to any scrutiny or facts. And that's why he had to run out.
So I'll talk to one thing that you were talking about, Adam, and both of you. You're saying that he's lashing out once he gets canceled. I would add that he's not doing that. I would, maybe it's both things. It can be both. But I would think that what it more is, okay, you don't want me to say something? Let me lean in, right? What's the thing? I just watched a video, Dave Chappelle, back on Oprah, was talking about years and years and years ago, was talking about him escaping to Africa, right? And how celebrities around him, people around him, wanted to put him on psychotropic medication. Okay. So he's leaning in my personal opinion, right? Regardless of whether he's right or wrong. I'm talking about intentional only, because to attribute anti-Semitism, we have to talk about intention. But well, okay, but I'll get to that in a second. But as far as the lashing out thing, it may be that too, but I'm talking about leaning in as a reaction to being canceled, being like, okay, what did he say at the end of the InfoWars info? He said, "I'm showing you how far you can go." That's what he said. I'm not saying it's the only thing. I'm not saying he doesn't have hate in his heart for Jews. I'm saying he's saying this. I'm showing you how far you can go. What's the other option? Okay, us in this culture war, regardless of what we agree with him or don't agree with him on, what's the other option when they fucking cost him billions of dollars? What's the other option? Be nice, say you're sorry. Because number one, already we know that doesn't goddamn work. And number two, I got your fucking balls now, right? We've all talked about it around lesser things. Right? So I'm saying it's fucking possible that what he's doing, regardless of whatever, I'm saying intention is to push, to say, okay, you don't want me to say it? Now I'm going to say it 68 fucking times. You can't. I'm saying regardless of whether he's doing it correctly, he's certainly not, whatever. But what his intention, I personally believe, is to lean into that shit and say, fuck you. You're not going to Kyrie me. You're not going to get me to apologize. You're not going to get, and I agree. He sounds like he, found 4chan 2 weeks ago. And I certainly don't like fucking Nick Fuentes. I certainly don't want Ye to be president. I'm on board with all that shit. I think Milo is a fucking homosexual man who's run away. But what I'm saying is, as far as just intention, it feels like what he already fucking said at the end of the interview was, I'm showing you how far you can go, and threw in love, love, love. I'm thinking he's pushing forward on the gas because they're telling him to stop. Even if it's an immature thing to do, I'm talking intention only.
So actually, it's an interesting thing that you brought up, the immature part. Part of the reason why he doesn't understand boundaries is because he grew up in a single parent home. And your father is supposed to be the one who actually shows you the boundaries. That's why rough and tumble play is important, to understand the physical boundaries before you hurt somebody. There are the repercussions that you are to face from your father, who's supposed to be your disciplinarian, right? So he's supposed to be your emotional disciplinarian and all these different things. Kanye didn't grow up with that. And actually, if you think about the Taylor Swift situation, one, he crossed the boundary, right, of something that was normal. And I know that he feels bad about it because he didn't foresee the reaction and he apologized afterwards, right? So it kind of reminds me of like a kid who doesn't realize he's crossing a boundary, and then people react to you. He's like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realize I was crossing a boundary. That was old Kanye. But also, if you think about it, what was he saying? Beyonce is the greatest artist of all time. But why was he saying that? Who's her husband? Jay-Z. Right. And Jay-Z, the person who founded the label that he was on at the time. So this is his way of gaining male validation from Jay-Z. He's like, oh, Jay-Z, look what I did. I came up here to tell the world that you got the best artist. You know, he's doing this for male validation from Jay-Z. And so when I see him get canceled, and then what does he do? He shows up for male validation with Nick Fuentes to back him up, with Milo to play. I don't even know what his role is supposed to be in this whole situation. And other people.
Manipulator.
Right. So he is doing these things. He's like, Nick Fuentes is like Split Star. I don't know if you realize that. Like he's just like the hype, like
yeah, we're not Black Adam. You have to
You remember Busta Rhymes?
Yeah.
He was amazing in Halloween Resurrection.
So Busta Rhymes would have
motherfucker.
Busta Rhymes would have his sidekick guy on all his videos. He didn't have any lines.
Boy Scout was for a little while, wasn't he? Boy Scout's Who I Be. Remember at the beginning of Put Your Hands Where My Eyes Can See as well? He was in there.
Oh, anyway. That was all. Yeah. But for a while after that was Split Star. Split Star, you would see him in all of his videos and all this stuff. But he had no lines. He was just a guy that was always with him. And that's what Nick Fuentes is basically playing. He's like his sidekick that shows up to places and just giggles, right? Because he can't believe that Kanye is doing these things, and he's getting credit for it. So I don't know.
But to add to that, to address what Mike is saying, and I completely fucking understand, but does that sound like it's only one explanation? Like in what I'm talking about and what Adam's talking about, can we again attribute the only thing his intentions are is to be hateful to Jews? I don't think so.
I just don't care about his intentions. I care that he has millions of fans who now believe all this bullshit, which is just not based in any truth. And it's like this sort of zombie lie that never goes away. Jews control everything. Like, just look, for example, okay, he was canceled and had money taken away from him and whatever. And so now I'm being told, oh, that's the Jews. That's because the Jews control everything. Should we ask Roseanne about that? She lost her entire life for saying 1/1,000,000th of what Kanye did about someone she didn't even know was black. Lost everything because it's the Jews. And by a black network executives because the Jews run everything.
And Roseanne's
Jewish.
If you're going to look at a big picture with a big and complex picture and take away from that, oh, the Jews, then I think it's clear what your intention is.
Okay, but if the people, don't want to get too deep into the weeds. I'm just, because I have thoughts on that as well, because I agree with you. But a couple of things. First things, I just, again, want to just point to intentions, mostly because that's the gut of where people are coming from when they're wanting to get rid of what he's saying, when they're wanting to cancel him. I'm talking to amateurs. I'm not talking about the runner of Balenciaga, the runner of Adidas, because that's a whole nother fucking ball of wax. But I'm saying the intentions of people going, oh my God, take this clip and fucking spread it everywhere. He said he loves Hitler, right? Or the myriad of other bullshit that he said. But I'm saying intention alone, can we only attribute hate to that? Because again, if we're going to be, why am I continuing to push this? Because again, I'm going to go back to my main point, elevating, maturing. I'm saying even on our side, we need to sit back from whatever narrative, whether it be the right or the left, and go, why does 95% of people agree on this one thing? Why is that? Right? I'm trying to help us deepen our understanding and step back from it. Does that mean, because, no. God damn it, Pete. One thing at a time. I'm just saying intention alone. Can we only attribute it to that and not immaturity, intellectual laziness, being taken advantage of, bing, bang, boom, whatever the other reasons?
I just don't think that this level of understanding is ever shown to anyone except anti-Semites. It seems like there's always an excuse. There's always something. Honestly, look at the comments on my Instagram saying we need to slaughter Jews. We need to. I don't know about Kanye, but I know that the people who are taking everything he's saying as fact, when you're commenting slaughter Jews, Jews are the ones doing this. Jews are the ones. He's the one pushing this belief in people's heads, and I don't want him censored or canceled for that in any way. But I think we need to get a little bit braver and call things by their proper name.
Can I add?
Go ahead.
Yeah. So there are definitely those people that are out there, like Mikey said. Those people are, I think, for the most part, were already out there. Just sometimes when you get your 15 minutes, you start to shout even louder. I think those people have always existed, and they're going to stay. My concern is there's a political element to it, because Kanye was held up as this right-wing MAGA, hanging out with Candace Owens, Trump supporter, because he put on the hat. And this is since being exposed to the right wing, I've noticed this. They don't have a strong celebrity cultural influence. And as soon as they get one guy, they hold this person up like God. And then when that person, because they said one thing that they agreed with, and then they move on and say some other shit, they have such a hard time criticizing it or letting him go. And that is what's happening. I hear so many people rationalize all the things that Kanye is doing. Why? Because they sat down for a year defending Kanye's right to wear the hat, and he trolled with the White Lives Matter. Ha ha ha, look at Kanye. Kanye's playing 4D chess, just like Donald Trump. They go through all this stuff. And I'm just like, Kanye has been quote unquote conservative for I don't know how long now. And all of a sudden he's your right-wing hero. But when the man says I'm saying crazy, he's not crazy, but when he says some crazy shit that you should legitimately criticize and back up with, you say, well, he's talking about, well, he said that, but so many people just look for all these excuses. Why? Because they're in such dire need of a celebrity that speaks to the right wing.
Right.
And
but why am I doing it, Adam? Because I'm not doing it for that reason.
Because you're pro-Hitler.
Right, exactly. Both of you know I'm not an intellectually lazy person, right?
No. I'm talking outside.
Right, but I'm saying, again, to the other thing that you're saying is that I feel like people's gut are saying one thing, and it does not, because they don't have the framework to bring it into actual explanation. They don't have the framework, but that doesn't mean get rid of the gut.
Well, what's the explanation?
The gut feeling this is what I'm saying. So the gut feeling is something feels off about this, right? And then that's okay. Perfect example, perfect analogy. when patriots, when people on our side, the dum-dums umaga who say just anything trans, fucking kill it. Whoa, bro. No. Right? It's intellectual laziness on their part. But that doesn't mean that underneath where the gut is, where they're feeling like this is some manipulative, weird, grooming fucking shit that's going on. Why is 512% jump or whatever I think it was of trans kids just in the last fucking year or two, right? So again, how do we connect those fucking dots between what we feel in our gut and actually being accurate? Fucking elevation. Again, but this is bringing us to, and synthesizing the things that we're trying to say by talking about it like we're talking about it. I'm not being intellectually lazy. I'm not saying 4D fucking chess that Kanye is doing. And I 110% agree with you that because of that, oh my God, we finally got one guy. Yay. That's too easy. Bill Maher is a perfect example. He's been fucking super against the left. And I'm like, yeah, retweet that motherfucker. And then 2 seconds later, he says something about fucking how Trump is the devil. And I'm like, I roll my eyes, but that doesn't mean I completely eschew and get rid of Bill Maher, right? Well, but what I'm saying is, I agree with what both of you were saying, but I'm saying to deepen and to connect that the gut is that, okay, some people agreed with Adam. Some people are going to be fucking dum-dums anyway, but the gut feeling, just like dum-dum fucking Kanye West is not good at fucking communicating. I'm not running to the hills to try to convince people that to be on the fucking Yay 24 train. I'm just talking about cultural, what the actual fucking, because you're talking about, and I'll say this and shut up. Mike, you were talking about where's that same energy for others? All three of us have had that same energy for others. All fucking three of us have had that same energy when Trump said there are great people on both sides. And we're like, what are you talking about? Boom, 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 boom. Explain, examine, explain, examine. We've had that same energy for fucking 5 years.
But who will do that? Who is doing that to say, no, the people running things are not all Jews. They're not majority Jews. They're not 50% Jews. They're not 25% Jews. That is just a matter of fact. And nobody will say that.
Okay. I'll tell you just why I'm doing it, right? I made a supercut of that interview of all the times Ye, Nick Fuentes, and Alex Jones said either something positive about Jews, blacks, whatever. Wait. Let me explain why I'm doing it. Let me explain. Because someone else commented, well, that's just you're cherry picking. I'm like, yep, I absolutely cherry picked. Why am I cherry picking? To add a little fucking understanding of the character, to understand that shit is complicated to piece apart. That's what my movement has been the last couple of weeks, right? That's why I'm coming to defend the fucking vaccinated, of amateur vaccinated. That's why I'm coming to, again, I'm not saying everybody is like me, but why is my gut saying it? And why I'm more practiced at understanding what I actually feel, examining it, and having conversations about it. I'm not saying that the public is. And I agree. Pieces of shit who are like fucking, gas the Jews. Fuck them. They're pieces of fucking shit. I get that.
You know what this reminds me of? And I hate to so you know what that reminds me of is it's like, a lot of people watching this know that me and a particular friend of mine for the past couple years have had a very obsessive sort of stalker hating on us. Right. 50 plus hate videos every minute of every day. Fixating particularly on a friend of mine every minute of every day. And then she'll make a supercut of, these are all the nice things I said about her, as if that justifies 2 years of stalking. That's kind of what this is. It's like he did not just say he loves Hitler. He said he likes Hitler. He created my microphone. He did that. These things aren't true.
Okay. But I'll point out, because I agree, I hate that dumb bitch as well. I've never met her, but whatever. But I am saying,
but I said something nice once. It's
no. But what was the words you just said? I said something nice once, so that justifies. I'm not saying so that justifies. I'm saying step back from what the emotion wants us, because here's the thing. Why am I doing that as well? I'm trying to help us, but let me hear your thoughts on how to fight. Because again, I'm adding nuance where someone commented, why aren't you pointing out the other things? I'm like, it's a whole fucking 3-hour, 4-hour interview, right? I'm just pitching in to try to add a little fucking nuance. Are douchebag anti-Semites going to grab onto that? Yep, and fuck them. But are douchebag anti-racists going to hang on to the fucking Trump said he said one thing, you know, yeah, dum-dums are going to do dumb shit. I'm not saying, but I'm saying I'm trying to help us elevate. And I want to ask you, what's your solution? Because I believe people are coming to the defense of Jews. What's your solution to him losing billions of dollars? Is it him apologizing?
No. It's to go to Adam's point, I think, and this is a much bigger subject than just celebrities. There is no gatekeeping on the right. I could name you a dozen people that they lift up right now that I mark my words they're going to get screwed over by. Any person who says something that they agree with once, they hold up and give. So that's a problem. I don't know what the solution is, except to tell the truth. I don't know. All of us here, nobody wants anyone censored or canceled.
Yeah. So I just want to throw in, well, Peter is right. You know, there's nuance to everything. At the end, we still have to come to a totality of a person. And we have to do, I don't want to say pro and cons, but stuff has to weigh each other. So, you know, Hitler might be a dog dad, but he's still, you know, facilitated the killing of millions of people. So there's nuance there, but in the end, I still got to say, despite him being, you know, a fan of dogs, he's not a good guy. And so,
right.
You know, it's the same kind of thing when it comes to Kanye. You know, is the totality of Kanye a bad person? I don't know. That's up to the individual. But let's just say, let's say, not say like the totality of him as a person, because he didn't murder anybody. He's just saying stuff. But let's say the totality of the past few weeks is what he is doing a net positive or a net negative? I would say it's a net negative. Is the totality of his rhetoric, does it make any sense? No, it doesn't make any sense. Is it factual? No, it's not factual. Does it hurt people? Yeah, maybe it hurts some people. Like, I get it. So I think what Mikey is ultimately saying, like, you know, I'll be 100. I don't fucking like that Kanye throws in the Jesus shit after he says some fucking crazy shit. I really don't like it at all. It is, to me, it is like, it's like putting like some peanut butter on top of shit and saying, well, it is still a peanut butter sandwich. Like, no, it's a shit sandwich, right? Kanye is doing that. Kanye is, he's like the college girl who says, I'm manifesting stuff, right? He's like using one aspect of Christianity by saying love for everything. You know what Christians don't do? They don't show up in church and say, hey, Christians, go out of your way and love Hitler and say that Nazis aren't evil. And,
no,
you know,
I think, no, I've been there. They do. On a not, I don't know what was the second word you just said, but love. I know these motherfuckers, and I love a lot of them. Where they are coming from on a spiritual basis alone. I'm talking on the fucking on the eternal
I'm not saying
side.
you're wrong.
But that's negating everything else he's saying. That's 1% of it. That's negating everything else. His point is absolutely not just love everyone. If that were his point, he would be saying love everyone, love Hitler, love this. That is not his point.
But anti-love is not, criticism is not hate.
But here's
I'm saying criticism is not hate. From the Christian's perspective, whether we agree or not, the word love there does not mean no criticism or no pointing out patterns.
Okay, I think this is the crux of it. This is what I'm trying to understand is what the criticism is, because all these people who are so brave, just explain it to me like I'm 5.
In his experience, even if he's fucking super goddamn wrong, in his experience, the people who have fucked him over, who are very powerful, all, for the most part, happen to be Jews. That's his experience. He may be fucking wrong, but that's his experience or what he's seeing. So lazy, intellectually lazy, in my personal fucking opinion, nuts in many ways, is grasping for that and saying, hey, look at this pattern. Oh, you don't want me to say the pattern? I'm going to drive it even fucking further. Oh, you don't want me to do it? Fuck you, cancel culture. I'm going to push it even further, right? I'm not saying that he's right or wrong. I'm saying intention alone, where the fuck he's coming from. And I'll add to what you're talking about, Adam. Speaking from somebody who's been obsessive fucking compulsive around the God shit, okay? I've been a little goddamn nuts around my own experience with God, where I thought, and I've known these people too, especially with new Christians, new God people who are saved. And he's been baptized long. He rapped about it in an album years in 2005. He talked about being baptized twice. So he's kind of new, but he's not. But when somebody's on that crux of trying to be a good boy or trying to be a good girl, what they do then in their mind is just go, I'm on it. I need to, they fucking lash themselves and they beat themselves intellectually, spiritually. They try to just stop it, and they get zealous. Zealous is a form of small God. Zealousness is zealousy, whatever it is a form of mental. Okay. But again, is mental fucking insanity hate?
No. My whole thing is, Peter, I understand what you're saying as far as the concept of love and how Christians interpret it. My thing is, he's going out of his way to say these things. He, like you said, he can show up and say, I love all these people. Alex Jones didn't say, hey, Kanye, tell me what you think about the Jews, right? He didn't even say, Kanye, do you want to apologize? He didn't say any of this stuff. Kanye's doing it purposefully. And then he's glossing over the shit with peanut butter by saying, but I love everybody. I love, and that's my problem. My problem is that he sounds like he's new agey Christian who started a church and is trying to be philosophical all of a sudden because he got caught up on a tweet and people reacted to it. And that's my issue with it. And the other, and this is outside of Kanye, my other problem is with certain people on the right who are still stuck on this celebrity shit when it comes to Kanye. They are so willing to die with this, and I don't understand why. It is perfectly fine to say Kanye is right on this thing, but this thing he's wrong. Move away from it. When someone says, I can't believe the left is so anti-white. The left says all of these white men are in positions of power and there's not enough black people and people of color. So that must mean that they're oppressing people. And then they automatically say, well, the Jews are in control of these particular industries. And let's say if that's true. And are you insinuating that there's malicious intent? Are you insinuating that there's some sort of
Nobody will complete that sentence.
I fucking did. What? I did it 2 goddamn weeks ago or 3 weeks ago. I made a whole episode, and this was pre-InfoWars, whatever. I talked about is Ye anti-Semitic, and I talked about the fact that mentally fucking goddamn mature people can see patterns and then not lead it to, and then not lead, hang on, and then not lead it to get extermination.
But what's the pattern?
In his mind, whether he's right or wrong,
you said that. I'm asking you.
I'm saying in his mind. I'm explaining what you're saying. What are you trying to say? I'm explaining what you're saying.
Because you just said it's a pattern. So what I'm saying, what's the pattern?
The pattern is a lot of people who are in the music industry, in the fashion industry, the 2 industries he's been most a part of, who are in power, who he's worked with, happen to be Jewish.
Okay, I just want to pull this up real quick. So, one sec. So this is, because that's something that I've been told a lot. Jews just run the music business. This is every record label, the biggest record labels. Universal Music Group, that's his group. Their CEO is Jewish. Their CEO. Okay, so they have 2 Jews, the CEO and the CFO of publishing. Of their board of directors, it's almost entirely non-Jewish. The largest shareholders is a Chinese group, a French group, and the next one is 2 out of 3 are not. And you can see down the line the rest of them. Sony, Warner, there are a couple on here that there was conflicting information. I couldn't find out one way or the other. But this is the Jewish music industry. And there's there's another one I want to bring up real quick.
Go ahead.
One sec. Because I was watching his Piers Morgan interview, and he specified Spotify and Apple Music are part of the Jewish conspiracy against him. That's Spotify and Apple Music, founded by Swedes. Apple Music, there's not one Jew in their head creative team. Amazon, there isn't. So when I see people pushing these things that, the Jewish music industry, and you can see there are some, but it's not the majority. It's not half. It's not some great imbalance.
Right, but what did I say earlier? Even if he's wrong, he could be wrong. I'm saying in his mind, even if it's an insane mind, even if it's an immature mind, right? I know it sounds crazy because I'm coming into the defense, but I'm not coming to the necessary defense of him. I'm talking fucking goddamn. I'm defending against the I believe the arbitrary, or rightfully so, the emotion first reaction of hate. I don't
care about that though. It's not, for me, it's not emotion. I'm just trying to say these are the facts, because there are people who will continue going on the Jewish music industry. The Jews control the music industry, and I can make a chart like this for every other industry.
Okay, but again, to Adam's point,
are just not true. And when people are pushing narratives that are false, what intention is there?
Okay, but here's what I'm saying. To Adam's point, when the left does it about white cops, when the left does it to white cops, does that mean that they're anti-white? In their perspective, I said it on the episode. Okay, but I said it on the episode. If a black guy, and both of y'all, and everybody who follows me already fucking knows, in 2020 I was hard on fucking BLM. I was fucking goddamn right. So I'm not a fucking apologist for all cops are bad. But I said it on that episode a few weeks ago defending Ye. If a black guy gets pulled over by what he perceives to be a string of white cops all in a row, is he allowed to say, I don't fucking like white cops? Next time he gets pulled over by a white cop, is he allowed to go, I don't fucking like these motherfuckers? Yes, he is. Even if he's incorrect, even if his perception is being skewed by what he's been told, right? Does that mean that every white cop is a piece of shit? Fucks no. I'm saying intention. Is it racism? Is it anti-Semitism? And I'm trying to add some nuance because I'm trying to help us fucking elevate to the point of, again, not let's understand that there's nuance so he's allowed to say or he's allowed to fucking whatever. We can divest. Yeah, we can divest from people and should, right? Like Adam's saying. We should divest from people and know when to pick our battles and whatever. But I'm saying the emotional reaction to just label anti-Semitism is what the fucking left does. And I'm trying to add some fucking nuance.
I feel a little bit differently. I feel like just because, is he allowed to say? Absolutely. Like I said, I don't want him censored. I don't want him banned. I think he exposes the hollowness of this ideology better than anyone else could. But I think we run a risk when we say that just because we don't want people censored and just because we're for free speech, that we have to accept everything. And I think that's the mistake that the left made, because they, just accept everyone, tolerate everything. And next thing you know, you have 5-year-olds having sex changes. So I feel like we run the same risk when we say we're just going to accept everything, no over window. And I feel like sometimes you kind of need to pry a little bit deeper.
And I'm down to pry. Right? That's why I brought this up and wanted to have this conversation with the both of you. But I'm saying part of the pry, part of my thing, again, not anti-DeSantis, not yay 24, not blah, 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 blah. I'm saying fucking calm down our emotions. And partially because I don't think we're at that point, Mike. I don't think we're at the point where we can, in culture war wise, go, not to point out that the motherfucker shouldn't say something or that he's incorrect. Please criticize Kanye. Fucking please. But I'm trying, Micro, to help us calm down from the emotions. And micro penis, just like Mitch McConnell's. He does have a tiny dick. We hate you, Mitch McConnell. But What I'm talking about is help us evolve so that we're less led around by the nose, because that's what made the left lose their fucking mind. And you're talking about we should be allowed to delineate and at some point criticize, please. But where along the line in this culture war that we're in, is it the appropriate time now to say, well, I'm going to come to the defense of Jews when he's losing his fucking bank account? I don't know.
It's always the time to stand up for truth. We got into this position because people would not stand up for truth. They went along with what was popular and didn't want to rock the boat, and nobody would say, no, there's only two genders. Nobody would say, no, the vaccine doesn't stop you from getting COVID. Nobody would say...
Right, let me clarify what I'm saying.
So I feel like it is always the time to say, no, that's false. And I feel like not doing that is the road to every problem we have. I'm not saying that it isn't.
Right. And I'm not saying that it isn't. Let me clarify what I'm saying. I'm saying that on the culture gut level, I agree with Peter. We love you. I'm saying on the culture level, I'm not saying that we definitely aren't at that point or that we shouldn't criticize again, but I'm saying we should always be pro-truth. But I'm saying on a gut level, let's understand, let's not be led astray from the goal. Let's not be led astray from the goal if it's going to be used by the cocksuckers.
But I think their goals are not our goals. I promise you that. Nick Fuentes' goal is not my goal.
I'm not saying that. Right. I'm not. And I'm not saying that I'm 100%
No, I get what you're saying.
Okay. All right.
I'm just saying.
And by the way, Adam, you talked about all these people come to the rescue. You want to talk about generalizations. I've seen the majority of the people who I follow on Twitter are black.
And?
Well, you're talking about patterns, right? People who are coming to Kanye's defense.
No, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm
not saying you. I'm saying if we wanted to be like, why wouldn't you point that out?
Oh,
I'm saying it's either a truthful pattern or a pattern is a pattern. It's either a true pattern or it's not. And I think that this idea of Jews control everything is just not correct. And I think the people who do control everything, who are of every background, look at the webpage of the World Economic Forum. You will see every type of person there is. The people who are actually pulling the strings are laughing at this, that we have finally, many of us have finally begun to catch on to what they're doing, and now argue amongst yourselves about, oh, it's the Jews doing it. It's insane. If the Jews controlled everything, they wouldn't have been having their synagogues raided. They wouldn't be the number one in hate crimes and have that be buried by the Jewish media. It's just Jews didn't usher in the Great Reset. Jews didn't lock down the country. Jews didn't change election laws. Jews didn't burn the country down for 6 months. So for people, I'm not saying you, I'm saying people who agree with this stuff, to suddenly decide that Jews are the source of all our ills is simply incorrect.
But why I'm pointing that out is because both of you are asking, why are people coming to Kanye's defense? I'm saying the people I'm listening to, Hotep Jesus, the people I'm listening to, Topher, the people I'm listening to are coming from it from a different angle. So it's not just intellectual laziness. It's not because they're led astray by celebrity. There's another reason, the black angle, and it's not angle of we're the real Jews necessarily. I have seen a few of those. But mostly it's the cultural sit back, hang on, I know crazy, I know first Christians or new Christians, hang on, I understand, hang on, why is everybody so pro Kanye when he wore the White Lives Matter shirt or when he said slavery is a choice, and then 2 seconds later are like, get rid of this motherfucker, right? I'm saying the people that I've seen coming to Kanye's defense are coming at it from the black culture angle, right? And I'm pointing that out because I'm saying there's nuance to why someone would come to his defense. It's not just lazy, not just celebrity, and it's not because they all believe the fucking Jews control everything. There are
a lot of them do,
reasons
though.
To it. You understand what I'm saying?
A lot of them just agree with him, though.
I understand, and like you said, there are millions of people. They all have different ideas, different concepts, and so we're just talking about things that we're seeing, and we're seeing in certain bubbles and certain things. But I think ultimately there is nothing wrong. Like, you can say that Kanye is anti-Semitic and still rock his albums if you want. If that's your choice, right? But there's nothing wrong with actually saying that. Like, he doesn't have to be your warrior for life. You don't have to be married to this guy.
Mhm.
There is no problem with saying Kanye's right about this. He is absolutely wrong about this. And politically speaking, there is nothing wrong with Donald Trump saying, I want nothing to do with this guy anymore, right? Absolutely nothing wrong. As a matter of fact, politically speaking, anybody who's within politics who is near Kanye for the foreseeable future should back the hell up. They should not have anything to do with Kanye.
Right.
And just like, let's say, for example, I don't know, let's say Scott Baio was going on a nigga tour.
I would actually pay to see that.
Yeah. And he was just saying like all types of stuff about black people. You know what everybody should do who's on the right? Or is he on the right? I think he's on the right. But they should all say, we want nothing to do with Scott Baio, right? Because that's crossing a line that's unacceptable to us. There's nothing wrong with that, politically speaking. And you can still say, I think he's a great actor. Like,
Right, but I'm
wrong
also,
with that.
but you're talking about the tour, right? Remember when Imus got in his shit, right? And then he went on a tour with Al Sharpton. Did that work out for Imus? Fucks no, right? So I'm just
But that's
adding
what Kanye's doing.
No, he's doing the opposite. Imus got in trouble for
Oh, yeah,
saying
true.
nappy-headed hose.
You're right.
grabbed
You're right.
Al
He's doing the
Sharpton
opposite.
and said, I'm sorry, I'm going to cut myself. And it didn't fucking work, right? So I'm saying there's many things at play here. And one of the other things that's at play here is we're talking about, I'm not saying that defending him means that I think he should be fucking president or that I agree with him. What I'm talking about is attributing racist, attributing anti-Semite, attributing, and I'm not saying, hang on, because I'm trying to get down to the base of what we're talking about, intention, right? Because it's too easy for the left to go just racist, rah, rah, anti-Semite, rah, and we got to be better than that shit. I'm not saying that some of the things he said can't be used or haven't been said by actual fucking anti-Semitites, but I'm saying Kanye might be a little goddamn touched and real fucking anxious and obsessive compulsive. Hello, he just got fucking sober. Hello, he's been fucking his fucking mind, right? He's fucking nuts, right? So am I saying we need to defend him all the way to say he's not? But I'm saying no. Let's pause when it comes to labels around all of that shit, just like I've been doing for everybody who's been a victim of cancel culture for the last fucking 5 years.
So I'll say this. When it comes to progressives, let's just say, when they say stuff that is condescending as hell, that is what I would call racist, I call them racist. I think there's absolutely nothing wrong with calling, a duck a duck. It's fucking quacking. That's what they are. And there's nothing wrong when someone says some of the things that he says for them to call him anti-Semite. If that's what they really think, that's what they're actually calling. There's nothing wrong with that. And you know what I don't do when it comes to progressives? I don't nitpick. Well, they're in a certain emotional state and they felt this particular way and they saw the George Floyd and they saw, like, I don't do any of that stuff. Why? Because when people verbalize something, like I told my son this and I told my wife this all the time. People don't say things for zero reason. And 99% of the time, people say things that they actually mean. And sometimes they say things to actually hurt people, but they mean to hurt people. So if Kanye is saying these things, he means to say it. Like I said, it wasn't dragged out of him. It wasn't manipulated out of him. Alex Jones didn't, hit him with some gotcha question. He is purposefully saying these things. So I think it is perfectly legitimate for someone to say, I feel that he's an anti-Semite because he is saying these things that I would, for any other person, I would classify them as an anti-Semite. And I'm not changing my strategy just because he happens to be a famous musician. Like, I would do the same thing when it comes to progressives. I'll do the same thing if I see a conservative say some condescending racist shit. Same thing with Kanye. So yeah.
But I'm not.
I agree. I think.
Go ahead, Mike.
I think you need to call things what they are. And I mean, you know, now in Brooklyn, they're having the Black Israelites are having rallies in support of Kanye, going up to Jews and saying the Holocaust did happen and we're glad that it did. So if you're not going to call that anti-Semitism, what is?
No, I would.
No, I'm not saying you. I'm saying in general.
Okay.
I think.
Right, but Adam, you were talking about why you don't nitpick. I wouldn't call it nitpicking. What I do is try to know my enemy and try to know how to connect the dots for them, and mostly because you can't help those people for the most part, is connect the dots for us in the middle, us on the outside, us on the right. Connect the dots of why we feel the repulsion. Right. The fucked up part is that people, for the most part, who are tweeting or saying racist shit about white people think they have good intentions. They think that they are doing the right thing. They think they are on the right side of history. So I'm not saying that I can't use that sometimes. You know me. I'm saying all kinds of shit, right? But when I call us a fucking white liberal is a piece of the shit, and do I actually believe that they are? No, I think their actions are. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't react to those appropriately. But what I'm saying is to know my enemy so that I can cross the bridge and understand and say what other people are feeling, why people are repulsed, why people are offended, why people are right. To understand your fucking enemy, you got to understand. You can't just go everybody who you can't just go. I don't know of a good example now, but like, yeah, you can't just go his sound racist, so he is. Because he fucking wasn't, okay? But back in the day, a lot of black people, Patrice O'Neill himself came to his fucking defense. Okay,
I think that's different though, because it was just a joke. It was an offhanded remark,
right? But someone believed it was right. But someone believed it was racist. In fact, a lot of people did. I think if they believe it is, does that mean that we, again, what am I fighting against? Label and not understanding our enemy, right? If that's our enemy, to fight the left, I personally know a shit ton of white liberals who think that they have good intentions, who think they are good people, who think they are on the right side of history, regardless.
Everyone thinks that though.
Everyone thinks that though, exactly. And if we're going to bridge the gap between us and them, I think it's right to know our enemy.
But my point is the left is not my only enemy. People who want to slaughter Jews are every bit as much my enemy. People who are actual white supremacists are every bit as much my enemy. The thing is, these people, the left is so insidious because they are in power. If these people were in power, things would be just as bad, if not worse.
Agreed.
So I think it's important not to censor them, not to deplatform them, but to call them out and stand up for the truth so that they don't gain power. And I wish people would have done that with communism, with the crazy far left years ago.
Right. But how would we reach somebody who believes they're on the right side of history in 1935? How would we reach somebody like that?
Well, I don't know about 1935. I think that's an impossible question to answer. But today, you don't. Like when people, that's what I'm trying to say. When people are in that particular mind frame, it'd be like if you said, how do we convert the Taliban? Like, do we really want to go that path of converting the Taliban? How successful do you think that would be? You don't convert the Taliban, right? You don't convert occultists, right? You have to hope that you don't allow more people to join the cult.
And how do we do that? And how do we do that? Is it to censor them? Is it to shut them down? Is it no, right? But what I'm saying is maybe 1935, whatever. In my personal experience, I have turned a lot of motherfuckers. And part of the way I have turned to motherfuckers is being accessible. And I know that sounds crazy with all the fucking memes I make about white liberals, but by remaining accessible. Why do I even remain accessible to those people? Because I keep them around. I pick my battles. I understand. And I show them from my fucking actions that I'm not a piece of shit racist. Okay, I show them with my fucking actions that I understand that they have good intentions, and that's what keeps me accessible. Even though I think they're fucking wrong, even though I'm fighting them on all sides, I am still understanding and accessible enough to them to keep a fucking foot in the door so that they don't join the cult fully. So that I have been successful with turning motherfuckers. I'm not saying Taliban level, but I'm saying pretty goddamn much.
But the thing is, that's fine. What I'm saying, if you're saying, I'm not saying you, but I'm saying if the general strategy is that we have to constantly reach out to the most extreme people, I think it's a terrible strategy. If you're able to be accessible, have information available, only they can come out of it themselves, right?
Absolutely.
You can lead a horse to water, right?
But are we leading horses to water by attributing negative intentions where it might not be applicable?
I just think there is nothing else in the world where people are shown this much benefit of the doubt. Like if people are in white hoods and stuff, do people say, "Oh, but their childhood, but daddy touched them in the back of the pickup truck when they were 5." Like no one cares. It's just a white supremacist. Like I just don't think. Or when we see these groomers grooming kids and transing kids, do we say, "Oh, but what about their emotions and people were mean to them in the second grade"? I don't care. I care about your actions.
I'm saying I care about actions as well. I'm talking about the people who are watching us. I'm talking about the middle. I'm talking about the reasonable motherfuckers, the apolitical ones. I'm saying, how do we keep the door? God damn it. Do you understand what I'm saying? I'm saying help us all on our side evolve. Help us all on our side. Not because this gives understanding is not a blank check for fucking behavior. Understand, knowing our enemy, knowing that they got fucking molested and that's why they want to molest people. Am I saying that means you get to molest? Oh, fucks no. Fucks no. Of course, we separate those motherfuckers. Personally, I'm anti-fucking death penalty. I know a lot of goddamn conservatives are like, oh, you got to kill fucking pedophiles. I fucking don't personally goddamn feel that way. Separate them from fucking society, okay? But do you understand what I'm saying? I'm trying to get into the goddamn mental attitude, the intention, so that we can evolve, so that we aren't, because the fucking lizards want us emotional. The fucking lizards want us emotional.
But I'm not talking about being emotional. I'm talking about being factual.
Okay, if you're not, I'm not saying you are, but I'm saying people on our side, where is the fight against him being, right? I haven't seen what you guys are seeing. Apparently, you guys are seeing that a shit ton of people are running to his aid. I've seen me and a couple of other motherfuckers, a couple of black motherfuckers, to be clear. And what I'm saying is, where we're all coming from what I've seen, is not, but the Jews are, but it's a next level understanding of the intention. Are we going to attract? Okay, I'm saying from my experience, what I've seen a lot, we're talking about the other game, regardless of him, we're talking about why somebody might go down that path. Is it right to fucking shoot those people or debank or fucking shut them down or whatever? Okay, well, how do we fucking fight that? How do we fight that if we're giving crumbs, if we're giving the fuel into that machine by not being thoughtful about what we're doing?
I think the same way with anything else, with deprogramming people from the left, is speaking truthfully and leading horses to the water of facts. And, maybe I'm wrong, because it's not like that worked in 2020. I mean, he gained 10 million more votes. So, there are a lot of people who just don't care about facts. There are a lot of people that you can show outright, Trump never said this, Trump never does, they don't care. There are a lot of people that you can show outright, no, it's not, no, Jews don't control everything, and they don't care. But I think that's really all people can do.
Yeah, I think, man, I think that there are a lot of people who are saying that I've seen since especially since the Alex Jones thing, that I've seen where they're like, but Jews are in these places. Like we're being factual when we say, and I'm just like, but what's the point? What's the point in saying that? Let's say if Mikey's chart is wrong, right? And there are Jews all over the place. What are you actually trying to say then? Right? Because that is ultimately people are attempting to go down this but he's technically right path when it comes to Kanye that they would never do for a leftist, right? They would never say, well, technically they're right that white men are in charge of the most important position. They would never do that. They would say, hey, just because that guy is white doesn't mean that every white guy has power. I'm broke and live in fucking a trailer park. That has nothing to do with it. But they're willing to go down this. Well, he's right though, because and he's not like I saw that way too much.
Okay, but why
for this particular thing?
I'm not saying I disagree with you, because I understand what you mean, but I'm saying for our side to level up, why would we instantly? I personally, I don't know. My gut says that we're kind of ready to level up, and understand next level shit, whether or not Topher, as an example, is right or wrong, whether or not Mike is right or wrong, right? I'm saying I kind of believe where you don't saying that, because you're talking about why would people do that? Saying that is not the next step is gas chambers.
No, I'm not saying that the next step is gas chambers. What I'm not even one of those people who are saying because Kanye says this, he's giving these people, like, people are responsible for their own words, right? If some guy goes out and does something harmful against Jews, that is not Kanye's fault. Just the media will try to make that into being, right? It could be highly coincidental, or the guy could be crazy or whatever, but it's not his fault. My thing is, from a general perspective of being consistent, what I'm pointing out to people is that you would never give this much leeway for your opposition, right? But you would give a ton of leeway for someone that you feel is, quote, on your side. To me, that is not being consistent. That is not being principled. That is not, in many ways, that's not even being moral, right? Say it again. If someone on the left was to say that all white men are this, or even make inferences that because white men are in these positions, hence they are oppressing us, replace white men with Jews, and replace leftists with someone who is on the right, all of a sudden you're like, well, I mean, factually speaking, like, no, fuck that factual speaking.
Right, but connecting the jump from it is a thing to I don't personally have a problem with saying that a lot of cops are white, right? I don't personally have a problem with that, right? But I'm saying the jump is the problem. Just like anti-Semites, the jump is the problem.
The problem is that they're saying it for a reason. That's the whole thing. They're saying they're not waking up one day and saying white men are in powerful positions. All right, I'm going to the store right now. They're saying that because they say white men are in powerful positions, and because they are there, they are oppressing us. That is the full context of what they're saying.
Right, but the people who were saying that in 2016 or 2015 and beyond have been practiced at that shit. A lot of the people I've been saying, but Jews, whatever they do, even if they're wrong, hang on. It ain't the motherfuckers I've been seeing. Topher,
I don't know who that is.
Hotel Jesus. Okay, so
that's actually the point. That's the point. The point is that these people wouldn't normally do this, but because it's Kanye, they are doing this. Because it's someone who is on their side, because it is someone on the right wing, they are willing to say, well, he's not exactly, like, they're speaking Kanyanese, you know? Like, they're just
okay, but
I would say it's
somebody who is okay, but as somebody who kind of is, because again, I'm not saying yay 24. I'm not saying don't point out where the motherfucker is wrong. I'm not saying that the fucking Holocaust didn't goddamn happen. Okay, I believe it did. Okay, just to clear that fucking up for everybody.
No one thinks otherwise.
I'm saying, goddamn it, I'm saying level us back from the emotion first. I'm saying a lot of people, I'm not saying it isn't ever appropriate to be like, hey, I don't fucking like what he said. Please fucking criticize him. But what I am saying is know our fucking enemy, and to attribute hate is exactly what the fucking like I said, you said, what'd you say, Adam? You said they wouldn't do that to their side. I fucking do. What was I saying for fucking years?
You're not the average person, right?
You're not. I'm trying to help us elevate to my level.
So I understand what you're saying.
We're not talking about emotion. We're talking about the things they're actually saying, and I feel like you have to. When people show you who they are, believe them. And there is, it's always, that's the thing. That's why you will never hear specifics from these people. It is all innuendo. It's all very vague, which is exactly what the left does. And the thing is, if you think that these people aren't the enemy, do you think if Nick Fuentes and people who are like-minded were in power, it wasn't the left, it was them, do you think you would have liberty? Do you think Adam would have liberty? Do you think I would have liberty? I view my side as people who want to be left alone, who want to have liberty, government stay out of things.
I started off this thing saying exactly what you just said.
Right, but what Mikey and
I said I don't like the Christian shit. I don't like. I've talked about it with you, with Mark Hughes a lot.
Shit, though. It's not representative of most.
I understand they think it is. I'm saying regardless. I'm saying regardless. I agree. I don't want Kanye or Nick to be anywhere fucking goddamn near places of power. I agree with you. I'm not coming from a place of wanting to keep those pieces of shit in power. I don't fucking care. I'm just coming from a place of intention, of elevation, of connection, and knowing our enemy. That's what I'm trying to fucking do. I'm trying to help us not get led into the weeds. That doesn't mean don't criticize, but not get led into the weeds by the fucking lizards who want us emotional first, logic second. That's what I'm saying. And I'm not saying that you both are.
To the lizard people, this is a gift with a giant bow on top of it. Especially, I mean, you see how powerful it has been for them. It has helped them gain all sorts of power, pitting black against white. So now pitting black against Jew, everyone against Jew. This is the biggest gift in the world to them to go along with these narratives. And I think it's more important. It's not emotional. It's factual. I think that's the most important thing you can do is to stand up for the truth. And the things they're saying are just not true.
Right. And
that's
one thing, Peter, you said know thy enemy, but I think it's more important to know who the enemy is, right? And
Jews. No, I'm just kidding. I'm the greatest of all time. I swear to fucking God. Anyway, besides Adam Coleman and Mike Harlow.
But seriously speaking, is Kanye the enemy when it comes to this rhetoric? Right. And that is a legit question that people have to ask themselves. And what I'm saying is, I don't think Kanye is evil. Kanye hasn't killed anybody. Right. But the problem is that Kanye is nuclear. Right. You do not want to touch him. He should not be near anything that is political whatsoever. And you should stop defending the undefendable.
Okay.
Or indefensible is indefensible.
Yeah. But okay. But the label racist got used a lot, right? To the point where we've been talking about it for years, that it means nothing anymore, right? I'm not saying that the words that Kanye said in someone else's mouth, in Nick Fuentes' fucking mouth, wouldn't be anti-Semitic. I'm saying okay, maybe it is true that the lizards are happy that everybody's fighting or starting to turn anti-Jewish. Come on. In fucking Brooklyn in 2019, I was screaming about it. There were random attacks on Hasidic Jews in Brooklyn, and it was always black kids. Okay, so I was fucking ranting about this fucking years ago. So don't act like I'm fucking pro anti-Semite, motherfuckers. Not you two. I'm saying people out there. But I'm saying, why was I doing that even back then? Nuance, because they were so pro-black people can't do anything wrong, blah, blah, blah. And I was saying, fucking nuance. I was going to the point of understand that shit's complicated. And I don't disagree that he's nuclear and that he shouldn't be anywhere near politics. I'm not saying we should even ramp him up. I'm not saying whatever. But what I'm trying to do is not allow anti-Semite, as an example, the intention, the label, to be used uncarefully, just like racist did, just like transphobe did, just like homophobic did.
But I think just because they misuse it and call everyone that doesn't mean that it never applies.
I agree. I think Nick Fuentes, that's a separate conversation. But as far as that motherfucker, as far as Kanye himself, we've already talked about it, and I pointed out a couple of different ways, intention alone, that maybe it might be a little more fucking complicated than that. Maybe it might be a little more fucking complicated than the guy's hateful.
So let me.
Why would I want to do that? Why would I want to do that? Because racism, racist, and transphobe, blah, 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 got used willy-nilly, and it got used willy-nilly by the same people who are saying anti-Semite. Are we just going to not think about, I'm not saying we shouldn't, but I'm saying, or shouldn't point out criticism. Are we just going to allow ourselves to go, yep, label, whatever their label is? That makes me pause, and it makes me think about the intention first.
So let me, I'll use a real example. In my book, I talk about crime statistics and race, right? And a lot of people would say, if you're doing that to try and say something in particular about Black people, right? Because there is a disproportionately high amount of crime committed by Black Americans, right? But when you read and hear me talk about it, I'm not talking about it in a way that I believe that it's inherent, right? So we're talking about the same crime stats, but then if you bring it to Nick Fuentes would say, it's the same, this is what they are, this is what they do.
That's right? The hop I'm talking about. That's the hop. The hop is the problem, not the thing you're talking about. The hop, the difference is the intention. That's the difference. Right? When I talk about it, when I say that, Black people, and by the way, just as a fun side note, keep this in your statistic in your back pocket, everybody. White people in 2018 were 61-ish% of the country, and yet 85% of DUI arrests. I wonder why that is. Must be racism. Anyway, when I'm talking about those things that Black people do disproportionately commit crime, am I also saying lock them up? No, fuck no. Am I also saying we need to? No, that's the hop I'm talking about. And the difference is, right? So, but easily people could label you or me, or Mike, because I've heard him talk about it, could label you or me racist. Right?
The hop, though, is I think where bigotry comes in. In the Gavin McInnes interview, he had asked Kanye, so when you, just because you've maybe had negative experiences with people who are Jewish, when you meet a new Jewish person, do you give them a fresh slate? He's like, nope. To me, that is where bigotry comes in. That is where prejudice comes in. By the way, sorry, I just want parentheses real quick. Adam is here. Thank you so much for being here, Adam. I'm honored. Mr. Adam Krigler. Oh, I'm so glad I like the show name, Mike. And he also said, Adam is a boss. Glad you have him on. Me too. He's the best.
What the fuck? Am I chopped liver? Krigler?
You know each other.
Whatever,
Adam,
Krigler.
Peter.
He's racist against Puerto Ricans.
Sorry, I just had to parentheses for that. By the way, send us, I don't want to keep you guys forever, but if anyone has final super chats as we wrap up, send them in. Sorry, where were we? Oh, yeah, what I wanted to say real quick is I think to put all of the blame for everything that's going on Jews would be as incorrect as blaming Black people for BLM. Some of them are Black, but how many white motherfuckers pushed that shit? Yep. I would at minimum 50-50, if not more than that. I would say about 75% or more were white.
But why did they?
But why did people doing all of this would be incorrect?
But why did the majority of white people post Black squares? Is it because they're racist? No, it's because they have good intentions. They think they're on the right side of history. And the way to access them is not to hit them with a fucking shovel, right? And I'm not saying you are. Criticism is not a shovel. But I'm saying if the same people who are waiting to put that weight down on his fucking face with his, let's cost him billions of dollars. I'm saying let's be a little more circumspect. Let's be a little more careful about what we throw the label anti-Semite against.
So
you are Puerto Rican chopped liver, Adam says. Adam, you got to come on here soon. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, it's okay. So there's two things. Actually, I might get the number wrong, but it's close. So there was actually a study that was done that talked about activists. When it came to leftist activists relating to like the Black Lives Matter and stuff. And basically it showed that I think it was like 6% of activists were Black. It was like somewhere around 6% that were Black.
6% were Black?
Yes.
Not surprising.
Yeah, it was an overwhelmingly white movement.
What percent of the looters were Black? Let's be real. Don't be mad, but let's be real.
but they were opportunists. See, that's the thing. I wouldn't even call them
Exactly. There's different
activists.
reasons. Nuance.
Yeah.
That's what I'm fucking saying.
But I want to push back a little bit because, I'm working on this in the next book. The people who are putting down the Black Lives Matter flags, and let's say they're white, who are putting down the Black Lives Matter flags, are there people with good intentions? Sure. Were they all? Definitely not.
No.
And we can know that based off of their behavior. So, there's nuance when it comes to that too. But even with that being said, someone with good intentions can do terrible things.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it's important to say, even despite your good intentions, that's a terrible thing, and that makes you a bad person, right? I think that's fair, because the outcome that you created, thinking that you're saving the planet, meanwhile you destroyed it. Thanos thought he was the good guy, right?
Right.
Even though he was killing half of the planet.
Right.
So, I mean, while there's perspective to different things, ultimately someone with good intentions can do terrible things as well.
Absolutely. I don't disagree. Go ahead.
I think they're the people. It's sort of like you have to look at the hierarchy of it. They're the average people posting black squares on Instagram to, pat themselves on the back because they're such a good person. It makes them feel good. However, there are the people at the top who are pushing this, who are pushing the riots and George Floyd, and those people do not have good intentions. And I think it's important to say that. And it is the same thing here. There are people with good intentions supporting it or whatever, but in this ideology, this group, this what I would say is an anti-Semitic ideology, the top people pushing that is because they are anti-Semitic. And I don't think it's unnuanced to say that.
I think, because this is what the joke I always went to when it came to fucking, if you were in more than 3 rallies within a year, you haven't squirted in at least 6 months, right? That's the,
Shit, that's true.
I'm the greatest of all time. But I actually believe, even though their intention, or even though their actions hurt people, the douchebag white Antifa kids who took that, they, for the most part, think, not even that they have good intentions, they think they do. They think, not the ones at the top, but the whole fucking system of Marxism is like, we're going to take from other people because we're so kind. No, they're not. We know that. I'm saying they think that they are. How do we reach the motherfuckers in the middle? Is it by saying, well, black people do 73% of crime? No, or 53% of crime. No, it's by understanding our enemy, that those stupid little white kids, how do we fix those stupid little white kids who are throwing bricks? I'm not saying that we shouldn't lock them up, but it's with therapy. It's with fucking better men in the house. It's with the micro, not trying to necessarily, although that may be a part of it. I'm saying, again, I'm going to intention and I'm going to nuance. I'm saying the kids who were throwing bricks at fucking Starbucks, okay, thought that they had good intentions. And the way to fix that is not to say, hey, capitalism is good. No, it's to get them fucking therapy, to get them better fucking men in their lives, to get them to fix the culture. Again, because the reasons why, the intentions underneath, shit be complicated, and we need to be not careful, but we need to be understanding of how to reach those motherfuckers and how to fix the actual problem. If we're gonna fucking get a good, if we're gonna get a good solution, we have to diagnose the problem correctly. That's what I'm saying when it comes to Kanye, and that's what it comes to. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I just wanted to point out, though, side note, notice that the Antifas, who've been calling people like us Nazis and fascists for how many years now, when the black Israelites gather to say that they're glad the Holocaust happened and slaughtered Jews, where are they to be found? Fucking nowhere. It's almost like it was never out of any sort of concern for fascism or Nazis or all that. Gee.
Anyway, bottom line is, I love you both. I respect you both. And I don't disagree with y'all. I'm just trying to help us in the movement understand nuance and not be led astray and not be taken advantage of.
Peter, it's not like their movement. It ain't my movement, and it never will be. For me, is all
right. That's no, that's fine. I'm not saying yay, Jan, yay, Nick Fuentes, or yay. I'm saying I'm saying the labels. I'm saying nuance. I'm saying understanding our enemy. That's where I'm coming from. That's all I'm coming from, because I'm trying to help. I have the same intentions as the both of you people. That's what I'm saying.
What do you mean, you people? No, I'm sorry.
that is what the hashtag of the evening is. If you have made it this far in the stream, tweet us, send us your tweets, hashtag you people.
What do you mean they? Is that the whole line?
They, them.
Who is they?
Somebody asked, one of our friends in the chat asked, what's Peter's Twitter? I think I have all the links below, but it is Rule 62 Peter. Thanks, and Adams is wrong_speak.
Yep.
And go to wrongspeak.net for your, is it wrong_speak.net?
No. Wrongspeak.net is the main website.
Yeah, Adam's a great writer. You people. Adam's a great writer, and not just of articles, but also his book, Black Victim to Black Victor. I read it.
And check out his Substack as well. If anyone has any final super chats, send them in. Lime Lady, thank you so much. This has been a great conversation. Love you guys. Yes, I want to say, Peter in particular, thank you so much for being here and for stating a semi-unpopular opinion, because just so everyone knows, that is what this show and what this channel is all about. This is not any sort of circle jerk where we're all going to sit around and agree with each other and sing.
I was told this is going to be a circle jerk, and I'm very disappointed.
I was hoping
Adam's going to get kicked off of Fox and Friends next time he's on. I heard you were on a show with a guy who talks about eating ass on his show. What is that? Oh my God.
Oh man.
So yes, we will be back. We're planning.
Did she say it was a fun and sexy conversation?
Well, we're here. Of course it is. Duh.
Of course it is.
I agree.
My
Adam
DMs
awesome.
are open.
Thank you.
Mine too. Gentlemen, thank you so much for being here. Everyone, go follow them. Follow me. Subscribe to the channel. We will be back next week. I'm kind of like keeping this going. I like it, this whole weekly thing. I'll have a new video later this week. Follow us. Like, share, do all the YouTube-y shit. Hashtag you people. Thank you so much for being here, my loves.
Bye, everybody.
Deuces.